All right. Hi, I'm Dr. Carolyn Francavilla. Sometimes I tack Brown on there. And I am a family physician and obesity medicine specialist in the Denver area. I have my own private practice. I started about 7 years ago and have three docs who work for me as contract workers.
Hi, my name is Brian Young. I'm a physician informaticist for the largest nonprofit health system in the United States. I had training in internal medicine and surgery, but did emergency medicine for a number of years until I transitioned to my current non-clinical role. I make healthcare data make sense.
My name is Marlene Wu Smith, and I am a pediatrician by training. Cornell trained in 1989 and stayed there to do my pediatric residency. But now I'm a publisher who still practices clinical medicine in a variety of different roles because that's where I get my energy from.
Hi, everyone. My name is David Norris. I'm a cardiac anesthesiologist by training. I went back about 12 years ago and got an MBA when I realized I didn't know anything about medicine. The business side of medicine.
I'm Donna Coriel. I'm a board certified internist, and I left clinical care about 2 years ago when I had already started building SoMeDocs. I knew exactly what I was building. The vision was in my head, but we've been building it really slowly, virtual brick by virtual brick.
My name is Diana Londoño. I'm a urologist with a U in Los Angeles. I am a writer, a speaker, and I'm the founder of physiciancoachsupport.com, which is a platform that is free and confidential for any physician to use. And when you go there, you'll see that there are physician volunteers who are also life coaches. They are certified, and they are there to help any physician deal with, talk about, discuss any challenge they may be having. And that's what it's for, and that's who it's for.
For starters, I'm a neurosurgeon in Princeton, New Jersey. I'm a youth wrestling coach. I've written a book called Cognitive Dominance, and I'm a speaker. And I speak to physicians groups about accessing burnout and trying to address it and figure out a way to really tap into why we went into medicine.
My two overarching long-term goals are women's empowerment through advocacy for women's reproductive health and freedom, which just became exponentially more important, and that people get to know me personally because I have a memoir in the hands of a literary agent that's about stretching outside my comfort zone to be the doctor on an Everest expedition when I was a little baby, wee 25-year-old medical student, and the value I see in all of us taking risk and stretching outside our comfort zone, which is also what I've done as I've become more of a writer recently.
My name is Mitchell Lee. I'm an emergency physician. So I think a few of us, including I know Marlene, has a little bit of anger as far as like why we're starting this about something that's wrong. And that's sort of the drive that brings us forward. I have this goal and venture, and then I also am writing a book right now called How to Hack Your Healthcare. And I have a TikTok that I kind of randomly became viral on when I said I'm an emergency physician without insurance, because I think that most of the Blue Cross's BUCA plans are not helping anybody, are a bit of a ripoff. And because I have a independent contractor, I don't get classic benefits, so I use a health share.
What I do to fill that gap is I've written two books, one on financial intelligence and the other on process improvement. I've also created a number of online courses. I have a number of free webinars at my website, and I go around and speak at various organizations and meetings about business stuff for physicians. And then I also will do consulting work for physicians and their practices who are trying to help solve problems that they're facing.
I am not a doctor, but I play one on TV. And my gosh, I love to say that. I've been playing in the LinkedIn space since 2006. I'm one of the first independent LinkedIn consultants in the world. Hung out my shingle at a time when no one was outsourcing me for the work I do today. And a lot of things had to happen for me to have a career, and fortunately they did.
I was just elected as chair-elect for the AMA's private practice physician section, which is a new section for the AMA. I'm really excited to advocate for private practice through that. I'm also on the Obesity Medicine Association board.
My background is I've written the book Managing Contraception, 16 editions now. I've served on the CDC committees for contraceptive guidelines. I'm the former director of family planning at Emory University School of Medicine.
Having also run my practice of Thrive Direct Care, which was inspired by the direct primary care movement in private practice, I'm able to practice medicine in a way that I think is very just. And along the way, I've also learned a lot of tricks on how to help patients that are uninsured, or also, just the people who fall into the trap of making too much money for public assistance but are not wealthy, which is sort of all of the quote unquote middle class that doesn't really even exist anymore in America.
I see so many doctors around me that are angry, sad, hostile, and it's really a shame because we have such a wonderful profession and it's such a beautiful thing that we do.
My goal is to add a little bit of change in healthcare in whatever way that I can. Little old me, I built doctorsonsocialmedia.com. And that is actually the hub of a lot of content and information and useful resources for you and for all of your colleagues. We do things like we help to amplify articles that you write or that you already publish on your blog. We co-market. That's like the buzzword of this month. I'm going to be releasing articles about what co-marketing means and why co-marketing is the solution for each of us becoming a thought leader.
And I just wrote my first article for SoMeDocs on artificial intelligence and the trust gap there. And I'm leveraging the co-marketing capabilities of that platform.
I started Physician Outlook magazine, which is a print magazine, lifestyle, a little bit of advocacy, a little bit of lifestyle, really a magazine for us, by us, because I noticed that people my age, I'm almost 60, were not engaged in social media. And I wanted, that's my business card, my calling card is to mail this beautiful magazine that has content from many different physicians and patients.
I developed my own personal mission and purpose, which is to help physicians create practice that they desire through business education. And why do I do that? Well, number one, I think a lot of doctors, they feel like they're losing control of healthcare. And personally, I believe that physicians should be in charge of healthcare, but they just don't have really a good fund of knowledge to make good, solid business decisions. And I think a lot of them are opting in for employed positions rather than being their own bosses because they don't have that fund of knowledge.
I personally do some consulting on the side with large organizations in terms of amplification on social media, how to use it. I built the website myself. I build all content myself, and I love it.
So I found a way in my practice to kind of shut out all of those outside barriers and to practice in a way that's consistent with what I always dreamed of practicing. And I enjoy sharing my stories and my lessons learned through my last 20 years in neurosurgery, with the hopes that I'll remind doctors of who they were years ago and get them back on course in one way or another.
So my asks are, number one, that you subscribe to my newsletter. I print it monthly. It has medical updates and inspiration from art and nature, which kind of tie back then into my book.
My ask, it's very presumptive of me to ask something of people that I don't know, but I have my LinkedIn profile in the chat. You can find me easily on the platform. Please view my profile. And if you feel there's a conversation worth having, I welcome the conversation.
And I have my own tools and course to help people start obesity medicine practices, which can be found at helpyourpatientsloseweight.com.
And my kind of call to action here is that you go and read the articles as I post them over the next several months. There's the first kickoff article, as I mentioned, on trust in artificial intelligence, but there'll be more. More is coming.
Also, you can check out my own site, which is Diana Londono, MD, medicaldoctor.com, and it has my articles, podcasts. I love to be on your podcast if this is something that is interesting. I talk about wellness, mindfulness, boundaries, a lot of things.
My ask today is to check out my website, markmclaughlinmd.com. And that can direct you towards my previous speaking engagements and also other articles that I've written.
And possibly a follow on Twitter, because I kind of talk about the same themes. My website also allows you to submit contraceptive questions if you want.
My ask today would be that you guys just simply check out my website. It's www.davidnorrismdmba.com.
So my ask for this month is probably to just share a single article that really speaks to you on doctorsonsocialmedia.com. Just click into the category that fits your interests. We have so many different categories. We have private practice, healthcare, health, side ventures, anonymous. We have a ton of categories. So pick an article that you love, share it, and tag not only SoMeDocs, but the actual thought leader that wrote it, because that's co-marketing, right? Then there's like 3 different people that have been tagged that will now reshare it. And SoMeDocs will then reshare it for you. So you get visibility, the person who wrote it gets visibility, we get visibility, you get visibility, and we all share the love.
My asks are for Take Medicine Back is visit our website, takemedicineback.org. Save the date for our Take Medicine Back Summit, November 10th to 13th. If you're so inclined, sign up and share that with your friends. Join our Facebook group, it's just called Take Medicine Back. Follow us on Twitter at TakeMedBack. I'll put these in chat.
Finally, my biggest ask, check out my latest series on negotiations on SoMeDocs, but my biggest ask is help me get into residency programs. I am having a hard time getting into programs. And if I have other physicians telling residency program directors, our upcoming future physicians need business intelligence, and this is the guy to use, I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
If you want to duet a TikTok or something that promotes what I'm saying and maybe relates to what you're doing, then we can enhance each other's messages. Personal access also is follow me on Apparently MD on Twitter and TikTok, and follow around for the book release.
And my ask is that please send me material, and I'll post the link, and Dr. Coriel has it, and you can find me on SoMeDocs, but the more material, the better.
My name is Mitch Lee. I'm an emergency physician and the founder of Take Medicine Back, which is a public benefit company, which is a PBLLC. So it's still an LLC with a little bit of a designation that it has to produce a public benefit. There's a couple benefit companies out there. I think Patagonia is one, so they have a good, but they also have a bit of a public mission. So in a way, it's a recognition that private ventures and capitalism, when it's done right with transparency and principles, can still be a force for good. I kind of like that concept. But I wanted to start out because of the format and sort of background of what Donna does, and I'm sure she has and will explain a little bit more and can answer afterwards as to why she started this. In my case, I started Take Medicine Back with a recognition that we're basically losing the profession of medicine or have lost it. And to some degree, many people realize that we are losing that to non-physician practitioners, and that's where the Physicians for Patient Protection essentially came from. We're kind of recognizing that that's part of a larger picture of losing it to corporate interests, and thus the corporate practice of medicine doctrine, which is that essentially non-physicians shouldn't have control over medical decision making, and non-physicians and corporations shouldn't own physicians and influence their decision making for external profits. And so that is coming to a head over the course of the past decade. It's probably gotten worse since like the 90s, and you have HMOs, and then it's gotten even worse when a lay corporation purchases a staffing group, and now you have that snowballing even further when private equity firms are owning these groups, and they realize that if they control physician decision making, then they can profit more. If they cut physician hours, if they make you run on a treadmill, they can profit more. If they replace you with a non-physician practitioner who's easier to control, but they can bill just as high, then they profit more. And to all of this, the quality goes down to society, and we essentially lose that profession and our professionalism. So we were created as essentially a think tank, a grassroots think tank and advocacy group. So we don't have any financial backing other than the time I'm donating to this and finances from individual physicians who have donated even in a non-tax deductible manner, because we're not a 501c3, although we are creating a branch of that. So this has all been volunteered time, and maybe about $18,000 that's helped us upgrade our Zoom account. So what we've done, an example of what we've done over the past year, is that we were invited to speak. I was invited to speak on behalf of Take Medicine Back to the Federal Trade Commission, in front of the Federal Trade Commission and Department of Justice. Now, the FTC and DOJ are kind of having a renaissance because they haven't really done their job for the past 30 years at helping enhance real competition. So right now, the chair of the FTC, Lena Khan, is brand new. She actually had a lot of bipartisan support. I could go in that in further depth, but to suffice to say, we believe the FTC is actually on the right track, albeit under-resourced. So we were able to speak there, and we managed to get the headlines of that antitrust enforcement in healthcare is no longer a pipe dream, and physician comments on merger guidelines, concerns for mergers with private equity, top the list of concerns for submitted comments. So we drove that. That was sort of in parallel to some efforts by Free to Care, and I think Marlene's magazine, they're also probably tangentially involved in that, getting people to comment on pharmacy benefit management corruption. So holding a second summit in November of this year. And our goals moving forward are to, very short term, is to create a coalition and write a letter to the Attorney General of North Carolina, who is also the president-elect of the National Association of Attorneys Generals, to investigate lack of enforcement of existing prohibitions on the corporate practice of medicine. Now, the way I would transition this here is I would ask all of you your whys, which I'm sure is going to be part of your marketing thing, but I suspect, and I've seen that a lot of whys as far as creating a side gig or a business was because you wanted to get the hell out of medicine because it was a toxic place that you were depressed in or something. I saw people asking about becoming an Uber driver or a Lyft driver because they just wanted to get hell out of medicine. And that is a really sad state of things. So I see what Donna is doing and what you are potentially doing as a way that you can transparently empower yourself to escape corporate medicine, ideally even take it back and put yourself into a position to speak up. So that's where we are at, and happy to discuss later and use my 2 minutes as an individual.